We started out with the assumption that we really need to understand what people were looking for. And one of the sayings that we've used probably since the very beginning is, a building can't be any better than the information you gather to start with. That really means you have to understand what the people who are going to be ultimately using the building, both the owners and those who use it on a regular basis and those who infrequently visit it, what they're going to do, what their needs are, what their concerns are. Secondly, we started out at the very beginning believing that a building needs to fit in its environment, and that's really significant. The idea of lower energy use, of use of natural systems, daylighting, ventilation, and so forth, again, were from the very outset core to what we were trying to do. Then if you take that sort of high touch, the people side, the natural environment side, and use the tools of technology to really make things come together efficiently and effectively, ultimately that synergism of systems, the natural systems and the technology systems, are really what have been the backbone of the development of the firm since its inception. The idea of trying to develop the advantages that you can gain from the technology systems was one of the baselines that we came from. As I've said, the idea that we start out with a system, our very first major system, worked in 3-dimension. Our goal initially was to create buildings electronically, not drawings. And as we progressed through the years, many people thought we were absolutely insane, because why would we spend all of this time creating this 3-dimensional model? What we saw, though, was we're saving time, and that ultimately, as now the whole BIM, the Building Information Model approach, is becoming sort of the fashion, we're actually kind of sitting back saying, well, you know, we've been saying that to you for a long time because it's only logical. And so the idea that firms who have not figured that out yet really, I think, are going to be left behind. But probably more importantly for me is the idea that it's just a lot more exciting, because ultimately what you're doing is designing a building that you give to the contractor to build. And so that's what we've been trying to get across, is the paradigm shift, that you're not drawing drawings of a building. You start at the very beginning designing a building in 3-dimension, which is the way you're supposed to do, and you know, whether you build it as an electronic model or you build it as a physical model, but you're designing a building. And when you get through, the computer has put all the pieces together in a way that you can give it to the contractor and he can build it. And so right now, the idea that we sit down with the contractor, with the subcontractors, with our engineers, with the client, all in the room at the same time, and we're able to design the building, and as we change a piece in the building, we're changing, in essence, the contract documents as we would have looked at them in the past, because it's just all part of the model, which then you can view. And so those who haven't figured that out are going to be scrambling really fast to catch up.
Orcutt Winslow came to select ArchiCAD for a number of reasons. One, there was always this belief that one of the most difficult things to do was to train employees to use software, and we still believe that today. And ArchiCAD was a software that was easy to learn. It was intuitive. ArchiCAD is about making architecture.
I think that building information modeling is the wave of the future. And I think architecture can go one of two ways. If we're not careful, we'll be squeezed out of the picture. And other people will use this technology to put buildings together and forget about the design part of it. On the other hand, I think there's a huge opportunity for architecture if we do involve this. It will reinforce our position as the master of the ship, if you will. The person who has the training to draw all these consultants together, and they get to be more and more of them, draw the more sophisticated client, and the project manager and the builder all together, and still manage the whole thing. Somebody's got to manage the whole thing, and I still think it can be the architect, but the architect has got to embrace this new technology and capability to do that.
Well, buildings are becoming more complex, certainly, and now that BIM has sort of taken hold throughout the country, I think people don't realize it's not just about three-dimensional imagery and document coordination, which is one of the benefits of a building information model or a virtual building, but it's about the data. And when you have a building information model, you have access to just a tremendous amount of information beyond the information that it takes to create a set of construction documents. So, you know, and as we start to use a model for more than just construction documents, as we start to realize that it's about, you know, trying to use the same data for shop drawings, it's about cost estimating and sharing information with contractors, collaborative design with owners, contractors, and subcontractors. That's where the real benefit of the information model is, when you have the ability to share and to reach a more accurate cost estimate. Not getting on board with 3D, I think, would be probably detrimental under any scenario. But contractors are starting to participate in the 3D for the purpose of being able to sell to owners the ability to find conflicts in the construction sequence, or even to change the construction sequence so that trades aren't mobilizing multiple times and having a positive impact on the budget. But those who stay in 2D can't benefit from conflict detection, which obviously has a benefit to the owner in reducing change orders, reducing overall project cost. Not to mention the fact that code analysis software is already here. Municipalities will be reviewing three-dimensional models for code compliance, and the ability for a virtual building model to be analyzed for energy. That technology already exists today, and so you're leaving behind a lot of potential benefits if you choose to go the 2D route. Well, both ArchiCAD and Mac have been good to us throughout the years. Have about, I guess, 15 years of that relationship. So, well, we're encouraged that most universities are pushing 3D modeling of some sort. Of course, we'd like to see more of them use ArchiCAD, but we're finding more and more new employees at least understand how to design buildings in 3 dimensions with some software, and that's absolutely critical to you know, hiring people at Orcutt Winslow, where we do everything 3-dimensionally, and we're trying to describe models in really finite detail.
I think architecture students have to have a lot of passion, or they don't graduate. They don't get through it. They go do something else. So, I think the passion is creating things. You know, there's a lot of different creative areas. There's art, of course, and there's graphics, and there's a lot of different creative fields. But I think architecture is the one that you really get to see what you create built. And not only is it something you can look at, but it's something you use.
Every week is sort of new challenges and new ideas and new things. And I think the next 25 to 30 years are going to be the most exciting time in the profession of architecture. So for me, the idea of being able to start right now, there's a lot of competition. It takes a bit of technology to actually sort of get up to speed, and you can't start out with just a T-square and a pencil, which we were able to do. But the potentials are unbelievable in my mind. And what it takes is just self-confidence. I think if you actually believe in yourself, and you're comfortable with people, and you're really able to connect with people, you can do it today as easily as you could before. In fact, maybe it's easier, because with technology you can do so much more now than you were able to do, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Can you think? Can you synthesize information? Where you went to school and what your grades are important, but not anywhere near as important as your ability to take abstract ideas and synthesize them into some kind of a whole. The second thing is being able to work with people, because if your ego is too big for a firm like ours, you will trip on it. What we find is that the people who are the most successful are the ones who can relate to other people, because first you have to relate to the client, and secondly you have to relate to those that are part of that interdisciplinary team that makes the whole thing successful. No one in today's world has all of the abilities to do all of the things to the level that they undoubtedly need to be. So being a team player and understanding that you can be really good, but you're going to need a lot of other really good people to be there right with you. And third is just a genuine excitement about being an architect, because it is something that demands a lot from you. It takes a lot of effort. I think our philosophy has been, you can't be a really good designer if you haven't watched a construction project being built and seeing how they really do it. You can't be a good designer if you don't know how to develop the details. Well, you can't do the details unless you've watched it in the field. And you really are going to get in trouble in the field if you don't understand why the design decisions were made. And so it really is a circle that we believe everyone needs to go through and understand. They may choose to focus in one area or another, but we've tried to make it so that everyone has an opportunity to at least have a Renaissance environment experience, and then figure out what are the things that are their strongest suits.
The kind of student we're looking for, the kind of person, first of all, they've got to be excited about, I think, about architecture, but they also have to be people. I think we can teach anybody now to use the technology to understand how to put buildings together, but what we don't seem to be able to teach too well, that people either have or don't, is that attitude about working with people, working together, being collaborative, and being happy about being part of the community. The people we find that are like that are going to be successful, and that's the people we look for, because we like to have all of our people go out and work with clients, and the people that work best with clients are people that like people, and that are excited about working with people and helping them and getting things done.
You know, if you're a student coming out of school, my response is, go out and find as many architects to talk to as you can. What I always tell students is, you have to remember, this is a design profession. There are egos there. All you have to do is go to any designer and say, you know, I saw something you did that I was really excited about. Can you tell me about that? I dare say you're going to have a hard time finding a designer who will not spend time talking about something that they're excited about because they did it. And that's really a great way to kind of understand the differences between design firms. I think students all the way through school probably could do a lot more of that than they realize.